Are you serious? Are you serious, guys? Welcome, everybody. I don't normally ever go live, just spontaneously, unless it's a scheduled broadcast at 9:42 p.m. But we have some very serious, urgent information from our government insiders that I'm going to share with you in a moment. Can I put a quick shout out for PastorPaulGold.com? If you're over 40 and you're planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you've built may be smaller than you realize. Here's a question most people never ask. Is your portfolio built for what's coming next? And what is coming next? Many investors in their 40s and 50s discover they have little to no exposure to precious metals. That means their savings are largely tied up in the markets, policies, and paper assets, and with very little protection if conditions change, and they're going to change. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you've already built becomes just as important as growing it. That's what Noble Gold Investment wants to say and come in. Guys, at www.pastorpaulgold.com, you can right now, maybe a smart time for you to talk to Noble Gold. There's no pressure. There's no gimmicks, no sales gimmicks, just clear answers, and they'll help build a strategy around your goals. Find out how at www.pastorpaulgold.com or call them on the phone at 877-646-5347. If you qualify, and you probably do, they'll give you this 3 ounce pure silver coin of Thomas Jefferson. They'll give it to you for free. What a gift at noblegoldinvestment.com. All right, guys, here's the situation we just got it from one of our government insiders. It's very critical, and I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to read the information I just received, and I'm going to give you some information that I have researched. And here's what we have. There is some mobilization occurring from an offensive strategic point of view, internal covert operations within Iran's citizens on the ground, which tells us that some sort of external support is materializing, and the United States is now adding reinforcement troops in addition to those already there. Foreign Minister Abbas Arshajai, who's the foreign minister of Iran, had his invitation canceled today to come to the World Economic Forum. Israel has just told its citizens to stock up on food to last for 2 months. Also, there's been 12 F-15E Strike Eagles have arrived in the Middle East. Also, 6 KC-135 tankers have arrived in the Middle East. And 12 C-17A Globemasters have arrived in the Middle East. They are positioning assets very near Iran. There is more than what we had to take out Iraq's during Saddam Hussein period. The people of Iran are creating internally an army that they're calling the Immortals. The people of Iran are creating an army internally called the Immortal. United States warships should arrive on the 23rd of January, debating on positioning due to weather and strategic positioning. So we don't know exactly where these warships are going to settle because of weather in the open seas and due to positioning. Now, that information I just read to you came from one of the government insiders who absolutely knows. Now, earlier today, I interviewed Mike from around the world that is going to air this Friday night on our webinar, The Beast Cometh. And he revealed some things that relates to this Iranian situation. He revealed a lot of stuff, okay? That's blowing my mind. My head's still spinning, but he revealed some significant information that relates to Iran and confirmed it 3 times. Now, I'm going to also share this with you that I just found, it just came out an hour ago, of a U.S. military buildup in the Middle East. More U.S. assets appear to be headed to the Middle East, and Israel is reportedly willing to weather a major missile barrage to end the regime in Iran. I repeat, there's more U.S. assets appear to be headed to the Middle East, as Israel is reportedly willing to weather a major missile barrage to end the regime in Iran. U.S. President Donald Trump continues to weigh all of his military options in response to Iran's harsh crackdown on the anti-regime protesters, raging on now for a 4th week. During a White House press conference yesterday, the United States leader, President Trump, refused to rule out any kinetic response against the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and his government. Whatever path Trump chooses, the U.S. military buildup in the Middle East for possible attack is definitely continuing. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group continues to make its way west toward the region as additional tactical combat aircraft, cargo jets, and aerial refuelers are also headed toward the Middle East. Is the military option off the table? Trump said no in a response to a question about his plans toward Iran. And before answering the question, Trump repeated his assertion that Iran was holding off executing protesters. So with Iran, he said, they were going to hang 837 people, Trump explained. And we let them know that if that happens, that will be a very bad day for them. They decided not to do it. They didn't hang the people. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future, but supposedly they're taking that off the table. But they were going to last week. They were going to hang people on Thursday or Wednesday. They were going to hang them, 837 people. And they didn't hang anybody. So we're just going to have to see what happens now with Iran. Trump has repeatedly threatened to end the regime over its brutal response to protesters that have left thousands of people dead. He has promised those taking to the streets that help is on the way. However, he relented after being told that the killings would stop, but the reports are they haven't. Meanwhile, new images and videos that are emerging on social media being smuggled out of the country are showing the regime's violence against its own people. Iranian citizens are being taken out and killed alive. They're being killed. The currency is completely devalued. The prices are off the charts for food. There's basically nothing to get. The devastating drought continues. It has not rained since the 12-day war. And the brutal government crackdowns have hit an all-time high. Trump knows that all of this aggression is happening and his assets are being deported to the Middle East. And for those of you who just joined me, I'm going to read again information we just got from our government insider that I think, and then I can tell you, I had conversations with Mike from around the world this afternoon that he confirmed 3 times of the fate of the Iranian regime. Our government insider just sent this to us that says there is some mobilization occurring from an offensive strategic point of view. In other words, we're sending offensive assets. Internal covert operations are happening in Iran with the Iranian citizens, which tells us that some external support is materializing among the Iranian civilians. In other words, somebody's helping them organize and preparing them. The United States is now adding reinforcement troops in addition to those that are already there. And the foreign minister, Abbas Arghajedi of Iran, the foreign minister of Iran, was supposed to go to Switzerland, to Davos, but Switzerland then canceled his invitation and told him not to come for the World Economic Forum. Israel has just told its citizens, go stock up on food that could last you 2 months. Go get 2 months worth of food. Now, our government insider is telling us that 12 F-15E Strike Eagles have arrived in the Middle East. I'm not going to give the locations. 6 KC-135 tankers have arrived in the Middle East. 12 C-17A Globemasters have arrived in the Middle East. They have arrived near Iran. This is more than what we did when we took out Saddam Hussein in Iraq. The people of Iran have created and are creating an army called the Immortals. The people of Iran have created an army. They're calling it the Immortals. The Immortals. The U.S. warships, and I'm sure that's referring to the USS Abraham Lincoln, but I'm not sure. But U.S. warships should arrive by the 23rd of January. That would be this Friday. Debating on positioning to do, in other words, where to send them exactly based on the weather and strategic positioning. So this is the information we've just received. I also, when I interviewed Mike from around the world this afternoon for the webinar, he confirmed a question I asked and information I asked 3 times. Definitive. So we are in a very, 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 very dangerous situation at this point, as it relates to the Middle East, as it relates to Iran, as it even relates to Israel, and also the surrounding region. So I'm doing my best to give you, this is very dangerous, guys. And again, nobody send me an email about, or nobody leave me a comment that I should not be giving out troop information. This is not, I'm not telling you where this stuff is, where these things are going. I'm not telling you where. I'm not telling you how many troops. I'm not telling you that. I am telling you these offensive assets have definitely arrived there. I'm not telling you where they're at. And oh, by the way, there's a ton of U.S. military bases in the Middle East already positioned. Trust me. This is just additional. We never had a buildup in the Middle East this big. So even when we took out Iran's nuclear bunkers, we didn't send this much stuff. So there is, thank you. Somebody just said a landslide just happened in New Zealand. Several people are missing. Thank you for giving me that information. I did not know that. Thank you so much. So I am giving you guys the report because I need you to pray. I need you to pray for our troops that are there. I need you to pray for every pilot and every midshipman and every naval officer. I need you to pray for the immortals, the citizen army that has organized itself inside of Iran. I don't know what kind of weapons they have. I have a feeling that somebody got them some. And whatever's about to happen or whatever isn't going to happen, one thing's for sure. This is the most dangerous time in the history of the Middle East. I promise you that. And so we'll be monitoring this. Our government insiders, they've been right 95% of the time. And so I have no doubt that what they just told me is true. I had some slight confirmation, but as I just read that to you, but I want you to know that Mike Around the World also, when you listen to the webinar Friday night, you will get a clear picture of what's going on in this world, not just what's happening in the Middle East. And you're going to get a clear picture on that, but you're also going to get a clear picture of new things that are happening in the world. It is critical. And when we tell you that the webinar is the beast cometh, that is exactly what we mean. So I will, I see that we got over 1,700 people here live right now, and I know that some folks just arrived. So I'm going to read again what the government insider has sent me and Heidi, and I'm going to read it to you. There is some mobilization occurring from an offensive strategic point of view. Internal covert operations are happening within Iran's citizens, which tells us that some external support is materializing. In other words, somebody is helping the Iranian citizens to create an internal covert operation. The United States is now adding reinforcements, troops, in addition to those that are already there in the Middle East. The foreign minister of Iran, Abbas Arjajedi, and I'm not saying his name right. It sounds almost like I'm saying an Italian name, but it's not. The foreign minister of Iran, who was supposed to go to Switzerland and at Davos, had his invitation canceled, and he was told to stay home by the World Economic Forum. The nation of Israel has just told its citizens to stock up enough food for 2 months. We can confirm that 12 F-15E Strike Eagles has just arrived in the Middle East. 6 KC-135 tankers has just arrived in the Middle East. 12 C-17A Globemasters has just arrived in the Middle East. I'm not going to give you their locations. And this is in conjunction to what is already there. And they have put those assets, I can tell you this, though, near Iran. There's more than what we had in the Middle East now in position than we had to take out Saddam Hussein and Iraq to overthrow that regime. The people of Iran are creating an army. They called the army the Immortals. U.S. warships should be arriving on the 23rd of January, but they're debating on the positioning of them due to weather and strategic positioning. And I'm sure that's the USS Abraham Lincoln and maybe another strike group that I'm not aware of. So this information just came to us from our from our government insider. And again, I'm not giving away any military positions. I'm not giving away anything that's classified. I'm giving you information that's just not being given to the mass media yet, and may never be given to the media out there because you can't trust them. But I can share with you that Mike from around the world, in the interview I did with him for the webinar Friday night, it's an incredible information that's about to take place in our world. And also he confirmed something with me 3 times as it relates to Iran. So I want you to pray for all of our troops, all of the assets that are there, everybody that we have there, and pray for the people of Iran. They truly need our prayer. The death toll is way more. And Mike confirmed a number, and I'm going to let that I'm not going to say. I don't want to say. But he confirmed a number of people that are dead in Iran, and he confirmed a number that were killed the first night that the power was, that the internet was turned off and the phones were turned off. He confirmed for me a number of people who were killed that first night, and it almost fell off my chair. So this is the moment. Why, Paul Begley? Why? No, I think it's quite obvious why. The Iranians spent trillions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, arming Hamas and Islamic jihadists, terrorists in Gaza, arming the Houthi rebels in Yemen, arming Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, arming the Syrians and the Iraqis, radical groups, and preparing themselves to launch a holy jihad on Jerusalem. And they launched the attack on Israel on October 7th, 2023. And it's very, very obvious what they're doing to their own people. If I get another correspondence from our government insider tonight, I will come back and go live again, no matter what time that is. God bless you guys. God bless you guys. No, that's no problem, Buzzy. It's a great question. Don't say I'm sorry. It was a great question. Why, Paul Begley, why? And that was a great question. You don't have to apologize. It was a great question. And I just gave a great answer. I'll be back with more right here on the Coming Apocalypse. Everybody should pray.